this is like my most anticipated video I've ever done. This is top 5 things defensive ends need. I've seen so many comments from you guys about this video, and it's gotten to the point where it's almost a joke about how this video was supposed to come out and never did. And yeah, I'm a few months late on this, but enough of you still want this video, so we're still going to do it. But this is top 5 things defensive ends need. And so as we go through this, remember that everything that we talk about isn't necessarily going to be for every skill type, for every situation there is. So, I'm kind of giving you guys a top 5 things you need as a defensive end, just top 5 gear items you must have. And even on kind of our 5th one, we can kind of start to sub in some different things. It's all based on preference. But we always start with cleats, so let's start there. All right, as a defensive end, you're going to want to look for something that's lightweight, but also gives you some support at the same time. And so commonly what we'll find is a mid-type cleat. There's going to be a lightweight cleat. It's not necessarily going to be, maybe not a high top. I think you could sub in the Under Armour highlight cleats and the other, the Cam Newton style highlight cleats. I think those are all great. But I found that the Freak X Carbon Mid Cleat from Adidas probably would fit a defensive end best. Based on the traction pattern, it's going to be built on, this one basically probably a little more speed as far as this cleat goes, but it also is still giving you that mid to high look that a lot of linemen need, because the defensive end is still a lineman. The only thing that we're really defining different about the defensive end is, okay, he's playing outside the tackle. He's going to be mostly engaged one-on-one with offensive tackles and tight ends. And so that's kind of the basis of the cleat. We want something that's going to be supportive, but we want to still maintain our speed. So I went with a mid cleat. Our next item is gloves. We're talking about the gloves that a defensive end needs. You could say, like I said, you could say that defensive end is a lineman. He needs a lineman glove. I don't think it really matters. And I think, when you look at it from this perspective, I think we should go with a hybrid football glove, something that's got the receiver style grip and something that's got padding. So commonly what we go to is a hybrid football glove. And when we go look at a hybrid glove, something like the Nike Superbad, the Under Armour Fierce gloves, and so forth. Anything with receiver style grip and padding on the back is going to be something ideal for a defensive end, because we still want to have, maintaining with the lightweight factor, we don't want to be bogged down too much. We want to be able to use the tackiness on these gloves to use it as to our own leverage, to use the stickiness there to be able to pin our guy and be able to rip off. And we still want a little bit of padding, because a lot of defensive end movements are going to be using our hands, so we want our hands to be protected. And if you don't feel that, if you don't want this and you want a little more protection, then go for a lineman glove. Go for one of the Under Armour gloves. Go for the Nike D-Tac gloves. Go for those if you want just a little bit more protection. All right, so sticking to the theme on protection, I think you could sub this in for a lot of different things. It's just based on preference what you want to wear. But commonly you'll see a lot of pro defensive linemen, and I talked about this in the defensive tackles video, but finding some type of wrist protection. This is probably the most simple wrist protection you can get. This is a McDavid wrist strap, and it's just a neoprene sleeve that goes on your wrist, and essentially works just like athletic tape would, just like taping your wrist. There are different ones that you can buy that have a little bit of padding on the outside, more of a hard shell type padding. Those are great too. And any other type of forearm protection is also kind of good. And I'll talk about some different things that you can also supplement for this, because I think this is one of the items, if you don't want it or you don't need it, if you have wrist problems, if you think you'll use it, I would get these. I would wear these, and that's just kind of my preference. All right, 4th thing to talk about is girdles. I think you really, and I'm not going to spend much time on this one, but I think you can go either way. If you go with a 5-pad girdle or a 7-pad girdle, As far as each one of them go, depending on what you get, you want to find something that's definitely got a hard plate for your thighs, and definitely want to be flexible up top here with your hip and tail pads. But if you can go for something like this, even something with a little bit of extension, but this is also very thin. This is a 7-pad girdle that I found at Dick's Sporting Goods from Riddell. Very, very comfortable girdle. And it also includes kind of the circle knee pads, which I think are great. But like I said, not much time on this one. It's kind of a preference thing, but you definitely want to find something with a hard plate padding, lightweight knee pads, and so forth. All right, my 5th and final item for defensive ends really came down to 2 things, and we can also supplement one of them for our wrist straps earlier. But this is something that I felt would be useful to a defensive end, was any type of forearm sleeve that you might want to wear. Like I said, we could take something like a forearm shiver, even like a padded forearm shiver would be fine, or even if you want to go and get a full length arm sleeve, a padded one, even if that, I think those are fine. But really, I feel like you can also get a back plate as a defensive end. I think as a defensive end, at times you're going to be hitting the back. You maybe just want that little extra protection. I really brought this down to kind of like 2 small swag items as kind of the last part. And, depending on what you want, I think, like I said, I think it's a preference thing. Depending on the play style, maybe you go with something like a battle back plate, something that's got a large surface, something that's fairly padded. I love these. They're padded really well. And then, the battle they just make a good back plate in my opinion. And like I said, you could go with something like forearm shivers or a full length, kind of like a shooter sleeve, maybe with a padding on it. I think those are all good recommendations. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I know it took a long time to get this video out there to you guys. I just want to say sorry to you if you've really been looking forward to it. But I've got more top 5s planned out here for the future. So be looking for us to even come back and revisit some of these older ones that we've done. And maybe give an update on some specific gear that we might like to use for our positions. But thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to everybody that's supported me in this endeavor on our channel. But please feel free, if you'd like to, check out our Patreon and support the channel that way. Or otherwise, check us out on our live streams. You can also support the channel that way. And you can also support the channel by just liking the video and by subscribing and turning on notifications. But thank you guys so much today. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you next time. Mr. Football out.